Following yet another defensive game in the Super Bowl, we struggled to move the ball on offense, capped off with 2 turnovers by Kyler Murray, would see us lose 19-7 versus the Dallas Cowboys. And as we begin season 4, coming off that Super Bowl loss, can we make it back to the Super Bowl and try to end up on top? That's going to be the quest for this season. Try to get back to it and complete the challenge at the end of season 4. If not, we will have 2 total seasons remaining, including this season 4, as it's time to get through the off-season portion of this season. And for what I feel like is the first time, we don't have any retirees. So we didn't lose any, at least offensive linemen, due to retirement, but we may have seen some regression. And a bit of a surprise, we actually had our defensive coordinator hired away. So the first real thing for us to do this offseason is fill the defensive coordinator spot. However, there's only one option. So maybe we wait for a little bit, because Sammy Rios is a 4-3 style and we're definitely a 3-4. So maybe we'll have to come back to this a little bit later. But going back to any possible sort of regression that we may have had, going through each position group just to give us an eye of what we need to do in this offseason. We have Kyler Murray. He's up to an 89 right now, though that is with some morale boost and some coaching boost. So the plan is to keep with Kyler. There is a quarterback in this draft class who's a round 1. However, I think I have something in mind for that first round pick that I feel like would help us out a bit more. What we could possibly use is another backup quarterback. We had Mason Rudolph last year, who did help us win the AFC Conference Championship. But then past him, we have a young guy in Mark Herman. Both of them are a low 60s overall. At running back, we do have Joe Mixon. He suffered a big injury in the Super Bowl, a torn pectoral. I don't know if he's actually going to be back for the start of the next season. If he's not, we might need to find ourselves another running back. Currently on roster, we do have Eric Gray, who's shown some splashes here and there. Justice Hill didn't perform all too well last year. We also have Alex Harris and Lance Starks. Now at receiver, this is a position group I feel like we could definitely use someone at. Marvin Mims Jr. was really good during the season, but then disappeared in the playoffs. Green was pretty solid throughout was a rookie, now going to be moving into his sophomore season. Though he was injured in the Super Bowl, did not play. We saw Chenault Jr. actually do pretty well, and he's at least on track right now, if no changes take place, to take over for Sterling Shepard, who did regress. I want to say he was around an 84 last year. He's down to a 76, so he saw a lot of regression. And we have a few guys down the line who just haven't had much of any opportunity to play. Tight end could be another position group that we could look to bring someone in. Trey McBride has been fine. Willis has actually done a pretty good job playing a hybrid role, both fullback and tight end for us. And we do have Enrique Sherman, who I think was also injured. Yeah, he was injured in the playoffs, so we were running pretty light at tight end. So if we could bring in another, I feel like that would help us out pretty well. Bakhtiari still pretty decently rated at an 89. He has dropped a little bit, getting +2 from morale, so he's actually an 87, though the ratings still looking pretty solid. Tevin Jenkins still holding up at an 83. We have Creed Humphrey, I think the best rated center in the league, at a 95 still. And then Wanyan Morris has done pretty well given his time to progress, and he's done that pretty well, up to a 78. And then Tyler Smith, pretty solid offensive line here for us at an 84. I would expect us to have slightly better offensive line play, but all in all, not awful. We do have a young guy here in John Bullough, who I feel like is definitely the next guy up for us. And I am very glad to see that Emmanuel Ogbah has not regressed much. He is still getting a +2, so there has been some regression. And 5 to power moves is definitely a big hit. Lost 6 for tackling, so we definitely need to find that next guy for this defensive line. These ratings at least are good enough for right now. Depending on what happens with our defensive coordinator, hopefully we could bring in some guy with some nice points and we could upgrade the defensive line. And that'll continue to go across the defensive line, as Okoronkwo, he's 31. He's probably seen some regression as well. He's seeing a +3 morale boost, so he's actually a 75, and he did lose 3 finesse and 3 awareness. So again, definitely need as much help as we could find for this defensive line. Though one guy who is on the younger side but doing pretty well, Dylan Bonds, coming off of his rookie season with the +2 from the morale, is an 85. With that superstar, he could definitely be a good guy for us. Well on moving forward, he was well balanced, can help us in the run and in the pass rushing. Past him, not really anyone that I feel like could really step up and take over a spot really. Potentially you have Perion Winfrey, who might be able to step in a little bit. However, he's just not much of a pass rusher. He's strictly a run stopper. At left outside linebacker, or left edge rush really for us, we have a very close race here between Perkins, Hobson, and Davidson. And whoever plays well is who's going to be getting the start. So if any of these guys don't play well, they could easily be subbed out. Though none of them are very highly rated, and if we do find someone better, we could bring them in. Though middle linebacker, I do like the group we have, and Kenneth Murray Jr., Robertson going into his 3rd year, and then also Joe Ryan going into his 3rd year. We have 3 all-starting caliber middle linebackers. At right outside linebacker, another edge rusher for us in Trevis Gibson has done pretty well. He's gotten involved a decent bit. I don't feel like he was as much this last season as he was prior to, but we went the furthest we ever had in the last season. Behind him, no one I feel like of major note. Now the cornerback group, again, is a group that's getting on the older side along with the defensive line. Awuzie, coming off a great season, especially in the playoffs. He is seeing some regression for sure. He has a true 85 overall, but has the +3 from the morale, and he lost 2 man coverage, 1 awareness, and 1 zone. Though those ratings still looking really good. Past him, we have Oliver, who I think is also regressing a little bit. Flowers has regressed a little bit. So if we could find some cornerback help, I think that would go well for us. Free safety, I'm even fine looking for some other safeties. Russ Yeast has done all right with us. The zone coverage has definitely gone up a lot, but the speed is a bit of a concern for me. And Asamoah, we really haven't seen him do anything good nor bad. He's a good overall for strong safety after moving him there from inside backer. And for now, we're gonna rock with him there unless someone else shows up that clearly deserves the spot. So with all that information, it's time to re-sign some players, and there already are definitely gonna be some guys we need to re-sign. David Bakhtiari being first, and he only wants a 1-year deal, which I think would work out pretty well for us. Just want to make sure we lock him down. We'll boost that bonus up a little bit, and he will be coming back. Now, Asamoah not as interested with that yellowish orange interest level, though he does like us having Kyler Murray, so that's great. He likes warm weather, clearly not in Colorado, and we don't have any mentors at that position, but I still think we could probably get him to come back if we just boost up these numbers a little bit, make it a 2-year, about $4.5 million offer. And he likes it. Now, I did talk a bit earlier about the running back spot. I would like to bring back Eric Gray on a decent offer here. We'll just make it a little bit more even. 2 years, $3 million, see if he's interested. And yeah, he likes it. That one, honestly, a bit of a surprise. As for Willis, he's done a fantastic job with us, really doing that dual position group. So we are going to extend an offer. It may not be exactly what he's hoping for, but he'll actually take it. We lowered the money, but he sticks with us. And considering how tight that outside linebacker group was, we will be extending an offer for Perkins just to see if he does want to come back and still provide some of that competition at that spot, and he will come back. Now, another one that's going to be pretty big for us here is Emmanuel Ogbah. Again, has been a very diverse player for us, both playing on the outside and on the inside. Want to make sure we lock him down. We'll offer a 1-year, $5.5 million offer, and he likes it as well. Now, for the players that we're not bringing back, at least for now, want to see what all of our options are. Tylan Wallace really hasn't gotten on the field. Antwine, again, another guy who hasn't really gotten on the field. Isaiah Thomas, didn't really like a lot of the backups at that right outside linebacker spot, so we move on from him. Jalen Redmond as a left end. Eric Dale, another right end or right outside linebacker. Witherspoon, we're going to move on from because he's dropped out of the starting 3. We're going to move on from Sterling Shepard for now. We may come back to him as more of a mentor, similarly to Morgan Fox here, just to see what all of our options are. We are letting go of Mason Rudolph and Tressway. He didn't want to come back, but we'll probably end up trying to bring him back in open free agency. So let's jump on over to that with $114 million in our pocket. And speaking of open free agency, nothing splashy at all, but fine and filling out at least some depth. Not really any starters outside of punter, though we did end up signing Jaylen Warren as another potential running back again. We might not have Joe Mixon at the start. He's been an integral part of this offense, so having at least a few different guys who could fill in would be better for us. We did end up bringing back Tylan Wallace, Antoine, and Lacey I know is with us at one point, though I don't know if he was with us last season. We did bring in a new backup quarterback, Skylar Thompson, out of Kansas State. We also brought in Isaiah Thompson, I think bringing him back actually, and brought in Kyron Johnson, again another guy I think we've had on the team, though we did not have him on the team last year. So nothing flashy, but fills in the spots we needed to fill in. And from there we could shift our focus to the draft. We have a lot of different options that we could try to go after, or at least a variety of different options we could try to go after. There is, like mentioned, a quarterback in Dustin Durant, a top 5 prospect, though I just don't think we need to go after that. So I'm not really going to. We don't need any other quarterbacks, and I have an idea of what we could use our first round pick for instead. Though a quarterback I am interested in is Addison Frazier out of Colorado. He at least appears like he could have some pretty good throwing ratings, even if that accuracy is on the lower side. Still not bad for a backup and could be pretty solid at that spot. Now at running back, there is only one option, and that is Brian Harrison out of Oklahoma State. Would have liked to have something extra here, but he does have some pretty good size. 6'1", 228, 21 years old. He's listed as a power back, though runs between a 4.53 and a 4.46. He does have great acceleration. He's going to have some pretty good strength as well, so he might do pretty solid. He has the trucking, he has a stiff arm, does not have very good juke or spin moves, but the ball carrier vision, the break, tackling, the carrying all look pretty solid. Catching traffic is iffy, but catching is a B to a C, so we'll see if we end up going his direction. We have a lot of aging running backs. If we could find a young guy, I feel like that would be nice for us. As for receiver, I feel like again we could look for someone to really try to help us out somewhere. I'm not sure if Eddie Pemberton is that guy. Around 2 to 3 projection. He's 5'8", 184. It's a very just typical kind of build. I feel like for a lot of these Madden classes, there's a lot of shorter guys. They say that he's a deep threat, but I would imagine also probably going to be a little bit more of the shiftier kind of big play kind of guy. Though he has tremendous speed. He's not strong at all though, only 6 bench reps, and that is consistent. He does not run clean routes with F medium, C deep, and D short, and D release. So he's not a favorite prospect of mine at all. If we do end up going his way, okay, but he's not going to be of high priority. Now, tight end, there is a guy who I do have some interest in Chad Collins. If we need to change up the offense and run a little bit more of some 2 tight end sets, that could very well be something we could do. And he is 6'5", 257, 21 years old, possession type out of Oklahoma. He runs about a 4.7 with some good speed. All around, he's a pretty good athlete. And he has A medium route running, A short, and B deep with solid hands, great awareness, great break tackle, and his run blocking is an A to a B. All in all, Chad Collins could be that dude and might be potentially the best player for us in this class. As for the offensive line, the only draftable one, at least projected, is Leonard Foreman, a day 3. So I don't imagine us going after any offensive linemen. We have our starters, though Foreman looks like he could be a good guy to develop here. Pretty good athlete across the board. He's not a very good power blocker, but at least has the upside in the finesse category. Now we do need help along the defensive line. And at left end, there is Joe Robinson. He's a day 3, 6'6", 273, 23 years old. He has some pretty decent bench reps plus speed. All in all, I think would be pretty solid at a left or right end. However, he's pretty much a one-trick pony, right? He has the B power moves. At best, he could have C block shedding. He's not going to come in and be a starter. Maybe try to develop him much, but again, only 2 possible seasons left. I don't think he would end up being a major impact. Over on the right end spot, it's kind of better, kind of worse. So you have Jamarcus Reynolds, who's 6'3", 306. He's a big dude who does not run very fast, has some decent strength to his game, and has C block shed and power moves. So he might be a little bit more balanced, but the ceiling is a little bit lower in terms of the best thing he could possibly do compared to the other end. And then at DT, we're out of luck. There's no option there. So going to outside linebacker, there is Darnell McDaniels. Again, this was a spot we could try to find someone if they really look like they'd be all that good. And then a round 2 to 3 would be acceptable for us, again, because I have that plan at least. Hopefully we'll see if it works out with that first rounder. But McDaniels is a 6'5", 256, 22-year-old out of Colorado. He has pretty good speed, okay bench reps there, 25 consistent. However, he doesn't necessarily have, again, that dominant side to his game. B to C finesse moves with C block shedding. So he might be all right, but again, nothing screaming out with him. At middle linebacker, not that we need any other guys, but there is Ben Hennings, and he looks like he might be pretty solid in the mid rounds. 3 to 4 projection. He's 6'2", 234, 22 years old out of Oklahoma. He does have good speed, pretty solid bench reps as well, but missing out on the other categories. As for his skills, A awareness is always really good. Coverages aren't bad, B zone, C man. Looks like he could do pretty well in block shedding, A to a C. It's not a major need for us. Again, we have the top 3, but depending on what may or may not happen with this defensive line, if we're forced to move into a 4-3, might be good to have an extra guy like Hennings. As for the DB group, I did talk about earlier about wanting to see if there's any other corners we could bring in, and at least through the draft, it does not appear so. As for the safeties, there is Eric Bridge. Was projected around 1 to 2, but his true talent is actually around 2 to 3. So again, we don't have to go after this spot all too early. Though he does have pretty good size at 6'2", 225, 22 years old. Listed as a run support safety, I imagine he'd probably be more of a strong safety. Running about a 4.5 mid. And again, yeah, the coverages aren't fantastic, C for both man and zone, but he does have at least good awareness. Play recognition, also pretty solid. Both of those are B's. A block shedding with B catching, pursuit, hit power, both A's. Tackle is a B. Definitely feels like he'd be more of a strong safety. But a potential option at safety late on, actually projected undrafted, but a day 3 talent, is Tavares Parrish. At least I'm assuming that's how that's pronounced. The first name, 6'1", 209, 23 years old, out again of Air Force. Runs a pretty good, about mid 4.4s. Solid bench reps for a free safety, but the rest of them all look really solid. Now he does have pretty good man coverage, being a B. The play recognition is not very good with that being an F, but at least something to try to build around as a true free safety. At strong safety, your option is Jason Poole, and I'm not a big fan with the coverages being D's. Would prefer a little bit more man than zone, and we don't really have that here with Poole, so not really even going to take a look. Now, all of that leads us up to the pre-start here to the draft. Now, talked a lot about things I have in mind, or at least a thing I have in mind for that first round draft pick we have that I don't really have anyone in the draft I want to use it on. However, outside of the draft, there is someone I would like to use it on. And with how much this offense has struggled despite the talent that we have, I think we need to find ourselves a true number 1 receiver. And that would be CeeDee Lamb, the highest rated receiver from any of the schools that we could possibly use. Now, he's currently at San Francisco, and I don't know if they're really actually up to trade with us, and they are interested, though they're asking quite a lot for him. A very highly rated, if not the highest rated center, a current 1, and then a future 5 and 7. That's definitely not happening, or a whole bunch of 1s, a 2 and some 3s, definitely not doing all of that. But we might be able to find something that'll work out for us in the draft. And since we only have 2 seasons left, we can definitely start using a lot of our future picks. So we will end up being a little bit, I don't want to say cheesy, but cheesy, sure. As we're going to try to go into the draft here, we're going to skip to our pick, and then we're going to try to make that trade, because it's a little bit more likely they would make some trades while in the draft than not. So let's see if we can make that work out for us. Now, we do not have a second round pick this year, so I am not going to include that. But I could include next year's first round pick, and maybe even a second and a third in the season after that, because we definitely won't be using that draft. Let's see what the interest level is here, and we're a lot closer. So why not? We'll toss in that third first round pick and then a second And third, also from that 2028, again, a draft we wouldn't be able to use anyway. And we're going to be bringing in CeeDee Lamb. So while it's a little bit cheesy, we get a guy that we need that hopefully will spark a little bit more from this offense. Again, that has just been underperforming considering how good of the offensive line we've had and some decent skill guys around as well. And as we are late on in the third round, that receiver is still here. Don't think he's a major necessity for us, especially with us trading for CeeDee Lamb. The other tight end that I did want, he has already gone. Though Joe Robinson, the left end, is still here. He's a day 3, so a bit too early, but might be someone that we need to pick up. Also, that middle linebacker, one that I didn't think we necessarily needed unless we had to switch to a 3-4 or 4-3, he's also gone. And so is the top safety at free, who is probably more of a strong. So that leaves us with a whole lot of day 3 talent. And given the areas of need that we do have, with us probably missing Joe Mixon for at least some time this season, I feel like we need to go after Brian Harrison, and he would at least help us fill that role in with a variety of other different running backs. He has the speed, he has power. All in all, I think he could be a solid fill-in for us. The catching should not be too bad. And again, we get a little bit younger at a spot, which is also a position of need. So Brian Harrison is a hidden dev. 88 speed, I expected a little bit more there, but 92 acceleration, 84 agility, 78 change of direction, and 86 jumping with 81 strength. If he even needs to play fullback, maybe that could take a little bit of weight off of Willis's role as well. Now, as we jump to the next round, the one quarterback that I did have interest in, he has also already gone, so we're missing out on him. But Eddie Pemberton is still there, and that might be a spot we do need to go after. More so because he might be the best talent remaining for us. Though at right end, one of the edge guys did get drafted, so that makes me come back to Joe Robinson, the last remaining defensive lineman. He's 6'6", 274. He has some decent speed mixed with some strength. Since we don't know if that block shedding is a C, it makes me a little bit iffy on him. But it is a spot that we do need some help at. So we're going to skip on the receiver for now. If he's available with our next pick that's in the 6th round, then we'll pick him up. But I do feel like we need to go after the area of need, and that is Joe Robinson, who is also a hidden dev, 79 speed, 85 strength. Hopefully he can develop well behind Ogba. And now just outside the 7th round, Eddie Pemberton is still available, dropping majorly. Was projected around 2 to 3. He's on the smaller side. He has good speed. He just does not have the strength. His skills, he's not a great route runner. He has decent run block with a B. Ball carrier vision is a B to a C, break tackle C to a D, carrying B to a C. I'm wondering if there's any chance he might be someone we could stick in the backfield and be a receiving running back. Maybe even be a kick returner for us. That is A to a B. We'll take a shot here on Eddie Pemberton. He's a normal dev, didn't expect anything else. We pretty much drafted a track athlete here, and we're gonna see if he could translate any of his skill sets to the football field. And with our last and final pick, everyone on here is a potential undrafted projection, though we do know that Tavares Parrish is a day 3 talent. He has the zone coverage, so that is where we're gonna go. A normal dev with good speed, good acceleration, agility, change of direction isn't too bad, all right jumping, could at least be a good backup for us. Now it ends up being a small draft class, but all in all, not too bad. We'll start with Brian Harrison, who is a 73, getting a +1 boost up to a 74. He's not gonna be wearing 8, I will change that. But he definitely has a solid base here in terms of having some trucking, a little bit of some agile moves as well. Change of direction isn't awful, has the strength, catching, the hands aren't bad. Run blocking is a 31 with impact 40. And I don't see lead block, so probably isn't going to be a great fullback, but could definitely help us out in the running back spot and is about the same overall as a whole lot of them. As for the end in Joe Robinson, do like his number, 67. Not awful, though could be a little bit better. He's definitely a one-trick pony for now, and that's probably what we're going to focus his development on, just boosting that power moves as much as possible. And hopefully Ogba does pretty well this year and doesn't regress if we do not win the Super Bowl. So fingers crossed for that. As for Pemberton, he ends up being a 68. I don't think that's all too bad. Now, he's not a fantastic route runner, but again, I've seen worse. The hands aren't bad. The after the catch ability, can any of these translate much to running back, with the carrying being 67 and the ball carrier vision 72? I just don't think that would work well in terms of sim. But the change of direction is good, has a good juke move. He's at least going to be a kick returner for us, and maybe potentially if we run out of receivers can go out as a receiver. And lastly, we had Parrish, the free safety. Now, honestly, that's not too bad. Where he's missing out on these ratings is the play recognition and awareness. So if that goes up, he could definitely be a future starter, though probably for us, I doubt that's going to happen. But all in all, for us really not having a whole lot of options in this draft that really were going to help us, I think we did pretty well. The one thing I have to check is to see how good that quarterback option was if we decided to go in that direction. And surprisingly, the quarterback, the top 5 speaking of, he did not go until the second round, almost mid-second round for a top 5 projection. He's only a 71 overall normal dev, so it's a good thing we did not try to go in his direction, because he actually didn't end up being that good really at all. So safe thing for us that we stuck with Kyler. Now, as we have reached the start of season 4, couple things to go over prior to actually starting this season, and one was just a very strange thing. As we touched on earlier with the franchise staff, there was only one option for our defensive coordinator, so we had to hire Sammy Rios. He's a 4-3. We run a 3-4 and we'll continue to run a 3-4. So I've put some points in where I feel like they fit best, going with some of the defensive line and some of the DBs. Now, speaking of DBs, I think there is a move there that we could definitely make. So due to regression, Oliver has dropped a good bit. The second best possible corner for us out of Kansas State is DJ Reed Jr. He's 29, so he's still on the older side, but he actually has some really good press and not too bad zone and man coverage. Are they fantastic? No. But all in all, they're better than what we have with Oliver. Now, Oliver has slightly higher speed, but Reed does have some pretty good acceleration, plus really good catching, decent tackle too, so he could even play at nickel if we need, because Trey Flowers has definitely regressed a good bit. So this is a trade I would love to make. Though they're saying that there aren't any packages we can put forth for them. I do want to see what their cornerback room does look like, and they have plenty of people, so we should be able to make a trade here. So how do they feel about a current 3 and a future 4? Halfway there. But what will secure it is a current 3, a future 3 2 years from now, next year's 4th, and next year's 5th. It's a lot to give up, but it's a spot that I feel like we could definitely use it. And with that move, we've solidified our starting lineup moving into this next season. Now, we're going to start with offense. Kyler Murray still our quarterback. Jaylen Warren will be getting the start at running back, though we're going to be kind of moving some of them around a good bit. Joe Mixon will be missing time due to his injury in the Super Bowl, though it's only going to be for the first 2 weeks of the season. Also to note, after the draft, I did find an undrafted fullback who is a star dev, and he's going to come in with some really good lead blocks, some strength, his acceleration not too bad either, has some trucking, and good run blocking at a 70. Now he is very much just going to be used as a pure blocker. If we need a running fullback or even a catching fullback, Willis is our guy there. As for the receiving spot, CeeDee Lamb's going to be wide receiver 1, with the sophomore receiver in green being wide receiver 2. We have Shenault Jr., who will be the next guy off the bench if one of the guys on the outside needs to be replaced. Marvin Mims Jr. will continue to be our starting slot, with the second slot guy also being Shenault Jr. Trey McBride starting tight end still, with Sherman being that number 2, and then Willis is that number 3 / also a part-time starter at fullback again, depending on what we need there. Offensive line stays the same with Ford and Bullo being the number 1 and 2 backups. Over on the defensive side, as for the starting defensive line, Agba, Bonds, and Okoronkwo, nothing changing there. Robinson is actually going to be the primary backup at both right and left end because he did do pretty well in the preseason, and he had, I think, 1 or 2 upgrades, so already we saw those power moves jump up. Now, we will see a slight change at linebacker this year. We'll talk about that shortly. But in the base packages, Robertson and Murray Jr. are going to be the primary starters, with Gibson and then Perkins on the outside. Again, Gibson, Thomas, and Davison, it's a really tight race. Those could get moved around. Asamoah is going to start at strong safety, with Yeast at free safety. Parrish is the primary backup. Corners, Awuzie and Reed on the outside. Now we're going to play with it a little bit. I'm going to start with Oliver, one being our third guy to go to the outside if need be. He's also going to start in the slot, so let's transition over to the specialist. If he doesn't do too well in the slot, he has better coverage than Flowers, but Flowers has much better tackle ability. So if we see us missing a lot of tackles, Oliver will get switched out with Flowers. Or a possibility is Oliver goes back to the outside and then Reed can go to the nickel spot whenever we go out in a 3 or 4 spread. We'll see how well that works. As for the defensive line, rushing wise, Gibson going to be on the left with Bonds and Agba in the middle and Okoronkwo on the outside. Same exact lineup as last season. Now, talked about the linebackers. That's going to change a little bit when we go out to the nickel set, primarily because Joe Ryan is an X-factor linebacker. I want to get him out there as much as we can this season. He's just not as good at stopping the run as Robertson. So we're going to have him be a nickel backer for us, and hopefully that works out pretty well for us. The man coverage is not as good as Robertson, but the zone coverage is comparable. So we're going to see how that works to kick things off, and if it doesn't do too well for us, we could change things. As for the offensive specialists, we talked about Mims and Chenault being the 1 and 2 for the slot. Now at running back, Warren will be getting the start as the 3rd down running back, though that is in a close race with Gray. Despite the overall discrepancy, their ratings, I feel like they're pretty even. Harrison, the rookie, will be getting the start as the power back, so we're going to see him a little bit as well. All in all, I think this should be a pretty good team to run out, and hopefully they do pretty well. Also to mention, Pemberton will be our starting returner, both kick and punt, this season. So with all of that offseason moves and everything done, it's time to get stuck back into another season, season 4, and see if we can get our way back on into the playoffs. We won this division last year by about half a game. Hopefully it doesn't come down to just half a game and we can blow out the division and easily move on. We start with an 87 offense, a 79 defense for an 83 overall team. Now, season 4 is going to begin in the rain at home, taking on the Dolphins. See how well we do as we barely get the halfback screen off in time. And that time is just to not take the sack. Obviously not completing the pass, leaving 2nd and 10. Kyler Murray, another throw, this time across the middle. I believe that's Marvin Mims with the first catch of the season. He'll bring it in for a gain of 5, leaving 3rd and 5. With a split backfield look. We have 2 receivers up top, 1 down to the bottom. Will be another throw, finding a little bit of a soft spot with the first down close up to the 40. Marvin Mims once again. We'll see CeeDee Lamb, I believe, is wearing 81. I want to say Willis wears 88 if I'm not mistaken, so his number was not available. So look out for the 81 as look out for the blitz. Nearly hits home, but we find Trey McBride for a gain of 6. Dolphins definitely getting some good rush right down the middle so far in this one, as we have 2nd and 4. With that fullback leading the way, does not pick up the block, but no problem. We get the first down. That's the rookie in Harrison. First rush of the season, gain of 12 is now Warren checks in at the running back spot. As we go to him right down the middle, just gashing right down the middle. Great block. He picks up 13. He plus ones the rookie. But so far, offense moving smoothly as we have a tight shotgun look here. Gonna have two receivers up top, one down to the bottom, and the fullback who gets the catch here, trying to find some space, but not finding much, just a gain of 1. And not gonna lie, was wondering why we have the fullback out there, but then remembered we're using San Fran's playbook, and that's normally an interception as the diving defender Shepard picks it off. And it was arguably those interceptions that cost us completing this challenge in the Super Bowl. Kyler Murray had 2, and they weren't really any good plays from the defender, just really bad decisions. There's the big hit. Getting the start, Joe Ryan laying out I want to say it was their tight ends, Mark Andrews actually. One of the guys who could be on this team, but we decided not to go after him early on in the fantasy draft. It was a cut down the middle here, picking up a whole bunch of yardage. First down close to midfield goes Tony Pollard. Really hoping that Dylan Bonds takes that next step this year. He's the superstar at the bottom of the line, though instead it's going to be Gibson with a tackle for a loss of 1, making it 2nd and 11. Would like to see him have a big season. Really, the entirety of this defensive line would just be fantastic if we see that, though it's a quick throw to the top, spin move. Gibson lays him out. He got all the way up top for a limited gain. And we'll leave it a 3rd and long, needing 10 yards to around the 43. This will be a play action, sitting in the pocket, pass rush. Okoronkwo hits home, a major loss on 3rd, 4th and 19. They'll have to punt it away. And luckily, nothing major happens after the interception. Just clean things up as we have a 3rd and 6, picking up 15 for Marvin Mims. Again, the offense moving really well up until that interception was the first mistake of that drive. Marvin Mims, another first down on 3rd. As we're getting this thing moving, we get inside the red zone, we'll definitely jump in, and that'll do it. I imagine a DPI gets us down to the 6 with a bunch look down to the bottom. Kyler Murray from the pocket, gonna roll up top, getting out to Warren. Another flag is in as a big hit the top of the screen. I imagine, going to be roughing the passer. Essentially a free set of downs here. And Lee McNeil called with a late hit. As time is ticking off the clock here in the first quarter, we might get one more play as we do snap it with 3 seconds, and across the middle we find Marvin Mims. He was great for us last season, though he disappeared in the playoffs. We need to have him play well this season. And as long as we can keep this kind of thing going where the defense playing well, offense scoring, we could have ourselves a pretty good season, though. They get the first down on 3rd. However, right back with an interception, Kenneth Murray. Great job, defense. Love to see it, cleaning up after your mistakes. Though we start with a loss of 2 on offense, picking up just 1, leaving 3rd and 11. A fumble recovered down at the 9. Now, it does not have a fumble recorded in the stat sheet here, so not sure who it was. But either way, the Dolphins get the ball and they start with 8 yards. Another throwaway, leaving 3rd and 2, and Pollard converts. It's been some sloppy play early on in the rain so far. Game 1, expect a little bit of that. There's a 3rd and 11. Great job by the defense. Force the short scramble. We get the ball back with about 5 minutes, now 4.5 minutes, as we gain nothing on the first down play. Back deep in our own territory, but hey, we collect with a Warren on the pass and then go right back to him with the rush. Gain of 6, leaving 2nd and 4. Rushes again for 7. 1st and 10, a knockaway by DeAndre Johnston. 2nd and 10, we pick up 3 back to Warren. A lot of Warren so far as Green gets his first catch, which is a big first down. As we get just about to midfield, or a little bit past, now definitely past with Marvin Mims. Again, we get inside the 25, we'll jump in. We're inside the 2-minute warning, another penalty, and Lee McNeil down to the 22. That'll work. Trying to finish off a pretty sloppy first half again, with both teams with a couple turnovers, as there was a fumble and interception. Going back out to Mims with a gain of 6. Murray has started his day 14 of 19, though we've gone a lot to the running back at the start of this drive, maybe trying to kill time. As Murray in the pocket gonna step up, picking up the first down, taking the hit, keeping those legs moving down to the 1. Plus a little bit of taunting there at the end as we send out the goal line here. We have the rookie at running back. As we hand it off to him, no play action. Probably should have handed it off. Instead, Simmons picks up the sack, leaving 2nd and goal back at the 8. as they finally, or actually we finally call a timeout as we tick under 50 seconds left. We really missed out on a few opportunities last season, especially with some turnovers. Want to make sure we don't do that here right before half as we gain just a few yards, leaving 3rd and goal at the 4. With 44 seconds as we do also get out of bounds. Will be a spread look here from Murray with a quick throw down to the bottom, finding Trey McBride, who gets the catch just inside the end zone, holds on to it and adds another touchdown to the board, making it a 2-score game before half. And hopefully, never mind the hopefully. I was going to say hopefully we maintain that lead, but now we might have a chance to grow it as DJ Reed gets a pick the very first play. We were just here with 44 seconds, with 4 at the 4, and now we could get even more. It'd be a great opportunity, and right back to him. Trey McBride, in the span of about 15 seconds, gets 2 touchdown catches. Well, the sloppy play continues, but at least seems to be good for us as they do find a big gain, but then we come right back with the sack. Anytime we don't do something well, we then seem to be immediately answering for it. As it's a throwaway, we'll get the ball back with 1 second left. I think we could take it into half, and yeah, the team agrees we do take it on in to half as we also start off kicking the ball. I don't actually remember if we started off with the ball or not in the beginning of the game, but Okoronkwo with his 2nd sack leaves 3rd and 9 and a throwaway by Ruiz. So far in this one, we're doing pretty well, though as I say that, we lose 3 on 1st down. McBride picks up 5 and a knockaway by Johnson. So our first drive doesn't go very far, but we are still up 21-0 as we get a good tackle for a loss there. Pollard loses 3. They get 11 to Godwin, leaving 3rd and 2, and a penalty by Yeast will be a free 1st down. To about midfield and now past midfield. 2nd and 8, 13 to Mark Andrews. Dolphins trying to find their first points of the game as they move inside the 30. 3rd and 5, a knockaway by Murray Jr., and they go for the field goal. They do. Singer hits it, make it 21-3, about halfway through the 3rd quarter. And again, Warren found in the passing game, and then right back to Mims on the next play, leaving 2nd and 5, 2 to Eric Gray. Again, seeing a good rotation of that running back spot. Warren with 3. It's all by committee right now while Mixon is out, as Skylar Thompson rushes. That's concerning. And we definitely skipped too quickly. Did not see it, but Kyler Murray had an abdominal strain on the play before the scramble. He's going to be out possibly the rest of this game. So just as we had in the AFC Conference Championship, well, Skylar Thompson doing pretty well, picks up the first, but we need to rely on the backup quarterback to finish off this game. We're up a good margin here. We find CeeDee Lamb for 12 as we're now inside the red zone with George Green. And it will be a spread look here for Thompson. Got 3 up top, 1 down on the bottom is McBride. Warren, the running back, hard count, no one jumps. Going to motion out Warren now to the bottom, make it an empty set for the backup QB. His first game with us as we go across the middle. We do find Marvin Mims, a nice accurate throw. Thompson started his time out there 4 of 4 with a good amount of yards, about 33 as we head into the 4th quarter. We're up multiple scores, just need to see it on through. Or even better, try to add to it as it's 2nd and 6 down at the 8. Sticking with the spread look, 2 to the bottom, 1 up top is CeeDee Lamb. Thompson from the pocket, waiting. Gonna scramble towards the top, get rid of it, avoid any loss of yardage, though he still takes a hit there. Probably should have been a flag. But we at least don't lose the ball. Primarily, could at least settle for a field goal here. Though it's 3rd and 6, would like a touchdown. But there comes the sack. Ali McNeil has had several penalties today, but that one was clean. Definitely seems like there's a little bit of some hesitancy there with Skylar Thompson, but all in all, we just need him to just manage this game, and getting the field goal essentially erases theirs back to a 21-point lead. So with about 7 minutes left here, can the Dolphins come up big? They're going to need some chunk plays, or at least a really short one here on 4th and 1. And they get it. 7 yards to Freeman. Keeps their drive alive, but not for long. Kenneth Murray gets the pick. And we could try to run away with this one late here. Warren with 5. Say run away with it. We already kind of are. CD Lamb with another 5, 3rd and 1. Touchdown, Marvin Mims Jr., 23 yards. Make it 31-3. A good, solid lead here in week 1. As we move quickly here, Dolphins not able, end up running out of downs. They do not find any more points, and we could definitely start to apparently tack on some more points. Skipped who that was. We'll have to check that towards the end here. And there it is, the end. A massive win in week 1. I want to say we made it to 40 points there, at least 38-3. Defense played really well, and it is 38-3. Kyler Murray did get a little bit banged up. Thompson came in, played solidly. All in all, a great showing in week 1. And in that fourth quarter, here was the points. The 31-yard field goal from Tanner Brown. We also had Kyler Murray throw to Marvin Mims, and then Jaylen Warren ran 30 yards to the house. But through the remaining first quarter of the season, the team would fall off. Week 1, not even close to an indicator on how this team was really going to perform, as they would go on to lose back-to-back divisional games. 24-17 versus the Raiders, and another 24-17 against the Chiefs, though that wasn't the worst of it. Against the Seahawks, 31-7, and then a narrow loss to the Falcons, 28-26, leaving us here at week 6, the bye week. It's an early bye, and we have to find a way to bounce back if we're to make it anywhere close to the playoffs. We have to essentially go on a very long winning streak. But before we can do that, we need to find out what's happening. And first off, we're 19th for offensive yards, 16th for defensive yards. So we're playing just about as average, if not slightly below average, as possible. Though turnovers aren't a major cause, at least interception-wise. 2 interceptions for Kyler Murray through 5 games. Okay. 65% completion percentage, and we have not had to have Thompson go back out since that first game. Kyler is over 1,000 yards through 5 games, not awful. And he's been sacked a little over 1 time per game. Rushing-wise, we have had some fumbles. Warren had a fumble, and Kyler did have a fumble. But Mixon came back after week 2, so for 3 games he's been back, and already he's our top rusher on very similar attempts than Warren, just 3 more, but a lot more yardage, averaging about half a yard more than Warren, but they both have the same amount of touchdowns. Mixon, no fumbles. We have had 1 touchdown for the rookie for Harrison, so that's fun, but nothing here screams anything bad. At least our top 3 outside of Murray running backs are all averaging 4, if not more, yards per carry. Receiving wise, Marvin Mims is our main guy with 20 catches, 280 yards. He's averaging about 14 yards per reception, 56 yards a game, and he's had 4 touchdowns already this season. Doesn't seem bad. I would expect more from CD Lamb. He's averaging just shy of 50 yards a game, 13 yards a reception. Green, I'm fine with his numbers. I think he's going to bounce between a number 2, number 3 receiver for us because he's not a down the field guy. He's a short, medium. Even in tight coverage, you can get the ball to him. He's got a good build there. McBride, not doing a whole lot, but does have 2 touchdowns, both of them coming in week 1. Hasn't had 1 since. As for the offensive line, I don't trust Madden's stats here, so this is about as good as we're going to get. Bakhtiari, not a great start, averaging nearly a sack a game given up. Everyone else, though, seems to be doing pretty fine. Humphrey is killing it. As for the defense, our leading tackler is Kenneth Murray Jr. Tackles for a loss, they're looking all right. Okoronkwo with 6. I mean, that's definitely really good. Gibson with 4. Bonds 3. Agba 2. All right. Winfrey only 1. I know he's kind of a weak link for this defensive line, though shouldn't be out there all too often. But I'm not seeing anything awful here. 4 sacks for Okoronkwo leads us, though no one really keeping up with him. Gibson and Bonds both at 1.5, and Agba only with 1. I need to see more from Agba. Interception-wise, Kenneth Murray, really good start to the year. 3 interceptions. Reed has had 1, Yeast with 1, and Awuzie has had 1. So I don't feel like the defense is really the cause of concern, and Joe Ryan did force a fumble, so doing well with his starts out there. We've missed a couple kicks, 1 extra point and 1 field goal, but nothing that screams to me we need to make a change somewhere. So let's keep things rolling and see if we turn it around. And we would hang on despite a very big comeback in the fourth quarter by the Buffalo Bills. We squeak out the win, 31-30, our first win since week 1. Both teams are putting up a lot of yards, and neither team was turning over the ball. Now that leaves us at a big point of this season. Clearly, it has not gone all too well. Some Super Bowl hangover for us as we're 2-4. At week 8, around the midpoint of the season, we meet Patrick Mahomes and the Indianapolis Colts. They have an 85 offense, 84 defense. They are 7-0. If we could get a win here, that could do well in propelling us forward in this last half, trying to claw back as we are dead last in our division. Since the Raiders beat us earlier on, who are also 2-4. The Chiefs are 6-1, flying up top. We got to start making up some ground. So let's jump into a quarter sim here. Now this is a home game, so hopefully a little advantage for us as we do grab a lead and hold on to it through the remainder of that first quarter. 7-0. I feel like that was the same score we had at the end of the first game's first quarter. See if we could build upon it. As we do grab a lead, but we give up a touchdown. It's 14-7 as it goes back and forth, and they tie it just before half. Let's get on through the third quarter as well, as the Colts do manage some points, and it looks like they're about to tack on more as we do hit the fourth quarter. Let's slow things down a little bit here. It's a 2nd and 3 and a knockaway. They are down at the 15. For 3rd and 3, they get the first down. Trying to widen their lead here. We're making them work for it, as it's going to be a 3rd and goal and a knockaway by Gibson. Will just be a field goal for Joey Sly. That feels dirty because he did me dirty, and I want to say it was the Virginia's state's only challenge. I don't like you hitting that one there, Joey. But we're going to get the ball back on offense with a chance to take a lead with a touchdown and a touchdown alone. And for some reason, this camera is extremely blown out. So we might not watch a whole lot of this game if it's going to keep looking like this. But we do at least pick up the first down with Mixon. No idea why it is so bright. I am sorry. Turn down the brightness on your phones, or if you're on your computer, you could also turn down the brightness as well. No idea why Madden's brain is broke as it is, but this is still a really important game as we have a 2nd and 8 with 3 up top. Well, they'll hand this one off. Mixon breaks first contact, but not getting by the second. We lose the 2 we had, leaving 3rd and 10. We can't rely on just Joe Mixon to move this offense. It looks like a 3 set down to the bottom, maybe even 4. 1 up top. Murray from the pocket, trying to evade, does. Getting to the outside, he scrambles, picks up the first down and a whole lot more, sliding down at the 32. His 4th rush of the day, 40 yards, and most of that all coming on that run. Just barely got around the corner. As we have a fresh set of downs, it's still extremely bright. As we will hand it off, trying to get to the outside, no, cutting in and not gonna get very far. We hand that one off to CeeDee Lamb. We prefer to kind of catch him through the air, and I feel like we haven't seen a whole lot from him since bringing him in. As we throw it to the outside, it's Green with the first down to the 22. His 4th catch, 43 yards, as we're just outside the red zone. With a spread look, 3 up top, 1 down below is CeeDee. Though we dump it off across the middle, we find Trey McBride, gets smacked around a little bit, but picks up 5. Kyler Murray just 12 of 20 on the day, has not been clean. As we're going to make an adjustment here, sending 2 receivers down to the bottom. We have an I form, we'll throw out of it. Across the middle and missing McBride and hitting the toes of CeeDee. Will be a 3rd and 5. One that we really need to convert here, As we're just under 2.5 minutes left, we have 3 tight ends down to the bottom. They'll go with a stretch up top. It's Warren not going to get the edge. 4th and 2. And as the 2-minute warning hits, we need to get ourselves this first down. Field goal really does not help us. So from a tight look we go. 4th and 2. Game, maybe even season on the line. As we snap the ball, have a crossing route. We're going to find Marvin Mims, who picks up a block. He dives for it, but gets smacked out just shy of the end zone. But we could let some clock roll. Or at least we could let it roll if we didn't land out of bounds. As it's inside 2 minutes, it does stop the clock, but goal line set. Mixing down the middle into the end zone. We just need that point after to grab the smallest margin of a lead, and hopefully a lead to a victory. And that 1-point lead is what the defense will need to hold on to. The Colts have all 3 timeouts. They just need a field goal. As Patty Mahomes dumps it off to the bottom, cutting up down the sideline, picking up 6 is Ingram. Mahomes 20 of 28 on the day. And they just need to probably get, I would assume 35 is always a safe mark for the field goal, potentially 40. Depending on who they have. Big hit there from Awuzie, though he does not knock it free. McLaurin holds on to it as they get back to the line quickly, saving those timeouts. They're up to the 37. Have a couple crossing routes that go back to McLaurin, turning up and gets out of bounds with a +7, though they say tackle happened inbounds. Don't know if I agree, but I appreciate it. As they'll go with a play action, Mahomes rolling towards the top. Gibson forces the throwaway. 3rd and 3. A minute left here. We have a 1-point lead. They need to get the ball probably 15, 20 yards for a field goal, as they will throw it. 4th and inches. They do call one of their timeouts, though the ball looks like it's past the line to gain. It's going to be a heavy set. They hand it off down the middle, picking up the first down to midfield. Austin Eckler. 16 carries, 70 yards, and a key first down. With about 40 seconds and counting, Mahomes up top, wide open, gonna be caught spinning away, but not quite away. They call their 2nd timeout. Though they're definitely in field goal range here with the toss to the bottom. Eckler not gonna get anywhere, as we're now calling our timeouts, as they do sit in field goal range. About 30 seconds left. Mahomes sitting in the pocket, throwing up top, wide open, and down to around the 12 before stepping out. Myers with the catch and a run into the sideline. As it's 1st and 10, Mahomes from the pocket trying to roll. Gibson does not get the sack. Mahomes throws, caught by Myers, down to the 4. As we're under 20 seconds, no one calling a timeout. Or there's both sides letting it run here. That could be costly for both teams. As there's about 5 seconds, and there's the timeout. About to say, if they snap the ball, they could have just cost themselves a win. Instead, they'll send out the field goal unit for what should probably be the game winner. At the 11, we're trying to ice them. Come on, Joey Sly. Miss this field goal like you missed a bunch for me. 2nd and 3, but they're going for the 3 points. It is up. And I'm pretty sure that's right down the middle. Couldn't quite tell from that angle, but I'm pretty sure. We have just gone down 2 points. And unfortunately, that is where it will end. Madden glitches out, and we don't quite get the end screen. The guys decided to return the kick when we had 3 seconds left, and that means no time for the Hail Mary. And with that loss, really puts this team in a very tough spot. 2-5 at about the halfway point. We're going to jump through the next quarter of games here. And unless they turn things around in a major way, I'm talking all wins. I need to see 4 straight wins. I think it would be safe to call the season. Put in as many of the young guys we need to develop as possible, primarily thinking of on the defensive line in particular, maybe some DBs as well, and get some development for one final go at a season 5. So we'll see if this team could rebound or if it's on to the next year. and we would end up splitting the next round of games, leaving us in a very precarious spot considering 3 of these 4 games were divisional matches, and we lost to the Chargers in the first one after a pretty good win against the Patriots, but we lost 31-28 after giving up 17 points in the fourth quarter, giving up what should have been a win for us. In the following game, we would then go on to lose a more defensive battle against the Chiefs, another one in division, and this one was in overtime. We were very close to making this a 4-0 run, but we gave it up in the fourth, and then we gave it up in overtime. Against the Chargers, though, we did at least get a win, and it was through us holding off another fourth quarter comeback, with them scoring all 10 of their points in that fourth quarter. Now that does leave us with 6 games left, and we are 4 games behind the Chiefs. The only way we make the playoffs, I feel like at this point, is winning our division. The Chiefs have swept us this year. So actually it's a 5-game difference, because if we end up with the same record, they would have it on us. Chargers, we at least split that series, so there's that, but we still sit on the bottom 4-7. So I don't think we make any changes yet. Essentially, we lose 1 game and we're out of the playoffs. The hopes to making that are already extremely small. We have to hope the Chiefs essentially lose out the rest of their games and we cannot lose one ourselves. So we'll jump to the next week. And it would be a major loss to the Cardinals, essentially ending our hopes for the season. They win 31-17, nearly going for 400 yards on offense. We were a little bit under 300 ourselves, though we're keeping these games clean, no turnovers. But that will essentially end the normal part of this season, and we will give the rest of the season to the young guys. So before we do that, let's take a look at what the stats are. So 21st offensive ranking, not very good. 17th defense. So all in all, we definitely took a step back. Though Kyler Murray was pretty good this year and just not giving up many interceptions, only 2. And I think those were in the first 2 games, or maybe even just in the first game. 67% completion isn't awful. He was sacked 21 times, not great, but only 15 touchdowns. I feel like we need to see more there. Joe Mixon could very well and probably will go over 1,000 yards, averaging close to 5 yards a carry, 8 touchdowns. He did have 1 fumble. Warren averaging 4 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns, did have the 1 fumble. Kyler has rushed for 3 touchdowns, also 2 fumbles. The rookie Harrison had 2 rushing touchdowns, as well as CD Lamb. So interesting for Lamb. He's not our leading receiver. On a few less catches, he has a few less yards, but pretty similar between him and Mims. That stat line is near copy paste. Green a little bit less, but also a lot less yards. No touchdowns for Green this year. And McBride 5 touchdowns, and Sherman had 1. So just no one really separating, it seems like, in the receiving game. We're spreading the ball out, but just not for a whole lot. A change of playbook might be in order, I feel like, as we've shifted the way this team has been built. Bakhtiari, 7 sacks given up, 6 for Smith, 4 for Humphrey, which is a big difference compared to his first half of the season where he gave up 0. So not great there. Wanya Morris, fine, and Tevin Jenkins doing pretty well. Defensively, Murray has 83 tackles, could get close to 100 because he'll probably stay in the starting lineup. Gibson doing pretty well in stopping the run, 13 tackles for a loss. Okoronkwo with 10, 7 for Ogba and Bonds, not too bad. Perkins with 6, 4 for the first-year starter in Joe Ryan, or at least split starter. Only 2 for Kenneth Murray Jr., though. Feel like that should be a little bit more. How about sacks? Okoronkwo with 7 is our main guy. It's okay. I would like to see some more here. Dylan Bonds 3.5. Gibson only 2.5 is definitely disappointing. Ogba with only 1.5 is definitely disappointing. 1 for JoJo Davidson, and then split sacks for Perkinson, Joe Ryan, Kenneth Murray Jr., Owuzie, Flowers, Oliver, and Taylor. As for interceptions, the leader is still Kenneth Murray, but haven't seen much of these in a while. DJ Reed, I think, is the only one to get one since our original check at the end of the first quarter of the season. So, definite letdown. Extra points looking good for Brown, though he's struggling to make his field goals, which is a big difference compared to last season, though we're seeing that really across the board. So I'm going to put in some of the backups, and we're going to get to week 18 and watch a little bit of some action there. And we have reached week 18, and it'll be a battle of two teams that did not perform all too well this season. The Jets went 3-13, despite having pretty good overalls, 85 offense, 87 defense, 85. Meanwhile, our team, feel like our offense maybe went up 1 to an 88. I feel like it was 87 at the beginning. Similarly for the defense, started at 79 up to an 80. As for each of these teams' rankings, the Jets do well when it comes to rushing, or at least they do better when it comes to rushing, as they're 20th in offensive rushing yards, 18th in defensive rushing yards. But all in all, they're pretty bad. Meanwhile, we're pretty average across the board. We apparently have definitely struggled with defensive passing yards, as we were the 23rd team, and that's really the only one that's that far down, I would say, to where it's a concern. Everywhere else is just average, and we just need to take a next step. Our best form, though, apparently was defensive rushing yards. We did really well there, top 10. So we'll see what this game has in store for us. Probably won't watch too much of it. Get at least a couple drives in with some of these young guys. See if anyone makes a play and wrap up a disappointing season 4. And as we wrap up the season, I thought it would be fun to rock some of the AFL throwback uniforms here. So we're rocking some brown pants and helmet, a white top, as the sack comes in from Myles Garrett, as they're rocking the blue and gold. Murray has continued to start. I didn't really think we needed Skylar Thompson to be out there getting much of any playing time, because it's going to be Kyler Murray or apparently the ground, as we definitely have not started this game off too well. But it's either going to be Kyler Murray or maybe see what kind of crazy trade we could do to bring in Hurts. That would be the last option we would have for a season 5, just to change things up a little bit, as a 4th and 17 will definitely be punting. But we'll see if the defense can do any better here, as we went next to nowhere. Actually, not even nowhere. We went backwards the entirety of that first drive for us. Jets, though, they start off gaining some yards, 7. As mentioned, we have a lot of the younger guys out there, including some of the guys from this last draft, so we'll see if anyone makes a play or if they're just going to keep having wide open receivers, just as we saw there. Kittle with a massive gain. The main one I'm looking for, at least on this defensive line, down at the bottom, 96. Trying to see if he could get many sacks. That's going to be Robinson. He got a lot of upgrades. His power moves is up to around a mid-80s. However, he definitely is still struggling in run stopping. So if he could get some sacks, at least that will be fun. He's also going to play a little bit of some rush DT in this formation. This is going to be another throw. It's picked off. Jumping in front. Is that Parrish? I'm not sure if it is, but whoever it is, he's rolling at the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, and it is Tavares Parrish with the pick 6. And I'm not even going to lie, he might be in the running to be a starter for us next year at free safety. He's gotten some good upgrades this year and a very impressive pick 6 as we get the ball back here after defense rebound. Not even rebounds, but, well, in a way they did kind of rebound. Offense still need them to rebound. Defense started off a little slow, but that pick 6 got them going as we pick up the first down here. Brian Harrison, the main running back for us these last few games. As we're moving down the field, Pemberton with a first down. Another 3 yards, Harrison. If we get inside the 25, we'll definitely jump in as Green gets us close, just outside the 30. And you know what? If we get a first down, we'll jump in. 2nd and 4, that'll do. Trying to see what more highlights we could get here in what has been a disappointing season. Again, just coming off a Super Bowl loss. Expected us to be in the running this year, but clearly we've come up well short. Coming into this game, I did not check the divisional standings, but we definitely are not in the top 2. If anything, it's at best going to be 3 as we motion out Warren to the top. He's going to be the kind of third down style running back for us, though he does not hold on to that one. Eats the shoulder of Newsome. But yeah, definitely toying around with maybe the idea of seeing if we can make a trade with Kyler Murray plus just a bunch of picks. See if we could bring in Hurts just for a little something fun as we find, is that the rookie? It is the other rookie, Eddie Pemberton. With the touchdown so far this game, it's all the rookies. Though I will say Pemberton not in line to take over any starting spots next year as we get a pick. It's a Woozier. As immediately we're back in the red zone and sure, we'll jump in again. I'm not sure if you just caught it there. Trey McBride did get injured on that catch. So we're going to see some more of the younger guys as it's 2nd and inches. Throw up top goes to the fullback and he was close. Would have been another rookie in Cunningham. Though, like I said, a yard short. He's going to be the tight end at the bottom of the line. Filling in for McBride as we throw. Though Murray has to scramble. Shakes one. Throws. Dropped by, I believe that was Enrique Sherman. Kyler does well there to give us an opportunity. Just need to take advantage of it. As it's 2nd and goal, play action and sacked once again. I wish we handed? I wish we just gave that one to the running back. Still have not been able to watch a touchdown at least for Harrison, the rookie running back, as we'll throw on 3rd and goal. Murray from the pocket, going up top alone is Marvin Mims, but he does not keep the feet in bounds. 4th and goal. Now, it does not matter here if we win or lose this game, so let's have a little bit of fun with it. Going for it, I want green on an out route, going to the goal line, or I guess slightly in will work as well. As we're going to roll that way, we have a couple different options, not quite liking them, as we will apparently just step out of bounds with a turnover on downs. Try to throw it late, did not work. Would have really been nice then if we did get in the end zone with Cunningham, as the Jets score an 87-yard touchdown. Well, when I said it doesn't matter if we win or lose, I still would want to win. Don't get me wrong. Jets get their first points. Penalty on Ed Oliver will help us out as we take back over on offense. Harrison picking up 4. And not a first down, 3rd and 1. Barely a first down as we pick up 2. Then a penalty on Humphrey will back us up 1st and 20. Kyler with 7. 2nd and 13, we get 3. 3rd and long, we throw it away. So a little bit of some good, a little bit of some bad so far this first half. As we're going to keep things rolling here. Achane, the running back here for the Jets, moving the ball pretty well as a throwaway leaves 3rd and 2, which they convert on one of those. I don't know. Madden does weird things whenever you hit a 2-minute warning. But it's fine. They're rolling down the field here inside the 30. Picking up 3 more, leaves 2nd and 7, and a sack for JoJo Davidson. One of those young guys getting the start. 3rd and 10, they pick up 7. 4th and 3, they take the field goal, and we have 58 seconds left. And now I would like to see what Pemberton over here in the slot to the left-hand side can do. He's a speedster. We'll see if we can get him down the field, find a little bit of some open space for him, and that's exactly what we go with. But this, I think it was the corner, actually drops off. Makes the big play. I like that play design, the crossing route, but by the time you need to throw it, essentially they meet with a streak, and it's just never going to go well for your quarterback. So now the Jets have the chance to not only take the lead, but take at least a field goal lead on through halftime, capitalizing off of our mistakes here, though they're not doing it all too quickly as they throw it away. 4th and 6. They miss the field goal, so even they don't capitalize off of their own opportunity. We'll let this thing roll on here. Not going to force anything, though, as we're down here with 4 seconds, maybe we should. Definitely too long of a field goal attempt, but we could send some guys deep. Pemberton to the right. We have Warren and Green to the left. Let's just see what we get here. Also needing to not get sacked as well, as we'll just have to toss this one up for the short guy who gets the catch and he breaks the tackles. The rookie Pemberton with a 2nd on the day. I was making a joke of tossing up essentially a Hail Mary to the 5'8 receiver, but it's the 5'8 receiver who makes the play. Jumping up, getting the catch. The 2 defenders knock each other off the tackle, and we score a touchdown. All right. Well, there we go. I was talking about late half Madden shenanigans, and that time it works in our favor. A little bit of fun here as we try to round out. Again, a season that we expected a whole lot more. Ryan gave up a big penalty there, definitely helping out the Jets, as we're well on our way here in the second half. We're up 11 with a 3rd and 20. We should be getting the ball back here as they do punt it away. Hofrichter with a good punt. We start inside our 5, picking up 6. 2nd and 4. 11 to Harrison through the air that time, and then back on the ground with another 8. Seems like he's doing pretty well. He does have a really good offensive line in front of him, so expect us to be able to run the ball really well. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, just steady carries. I want to say that was like 7, maybe 8 carries, as we're now getting some of the other running backs out there. George Green has us inside the 15. Looking to tack on a little bit more here late on in the 3rd quarter with a bunch down to the bottom. One up top is the tight end in Sherman. Will be a throw down to the back corner, but too tall for Green. And that's saying a lot, considering the fact he's 6'4" with a good vert. As we'll switch it up here, we've got a tight I formation. Hand it off. We got the running back Harrison trying to find some space. Speeding by 1, breaking off of a couple, and another touchdown for another rookie in Week 18, making the most of their time out on the field. Oh, following a massive kick return, Jets start close to midfield, but it's a throwaway, then a sack coming in for Isaiah Thomas. Again, I was hoping we're going to see at least one as they throw away on 3rd and long. I was hoping we're going to see one from the young defensive end, though his name escaping me right now. Robinson, perhaps? Either way, we're on offense, starting again back inside our own 5. 3rd and 6, a throwaway. So we'll be a 3 and out as the Jets get the ball back essentially right where they were, though a good return starts them at about midfield to get 3 by Achane as we hit the 4th quarter. Knocked away Isaiah Oliver, 3rd and 7. They only pick up 5. Going for it, I imagine. Achane picks it up. Gain of 4. They only needed 2. Throw away by Watson. 2nd and 10. Gain of 2 once again. 3rd and 8. 23 yards, Kittle. And we haven't watched the defense much, so let's jump in here. Backed up against our own end zone. Need to make a play. We only have 3 down linemen. That's all we sent. So we got everyone back in coverage, yet somehow we give up a wide open throw to Christian Kirk. A little bit of drama at the catching point, but all in all, need to see better coverage there as the Jets do finally strike back. And that was the rookie Parrish who was closest in coverage as we start offense with 20-yard gain to Sherman. Again, answering back to some of our bad plays. That's the mark of a good team, though, the penalty not helping us out. 3rd and 9, we throw it away and probably punt it away, as it does end up being a touchback. Christian Kirk with 11. Then a throwaway and an interception for Kenneth Murray Jr., making it at least 4 for him on the season. Now, can we get any more touchdowns for some young fellas here? As we're down by the goal line, 2nd and goal, touchdown number 2 for Brian Harrison. Make it a 35-17 ball game. As we're under 4 minutes left in this one, we'll get through it pretty quickly here. As it's 4th and 10, we'll get the ball back. Running out clock, I could only imagine, as we do get the first down with a 3rd and 1. And that is how we end our 4th season. So a big week 18, saw a lot from some of these rookies. But all in all, we expected more from this year, and we were hoping to be playing into the postseason and not into the offseason. But that will wrap up our season 4. We went from being top of our division last year to bottom of our division, finishing 7 and 10. Though, considering the start, 1 and 4, we did a good bit better. We ended up winning about just as many games as we lost. So we at least rebounded a little bit that second half. Could have used a little bit more from the first half. However, we still finished 6 games out of first place, with the Chiefs going 11 and 5. So clearly, we got to try to do something better here as we move on into our last and final season. But we'll finish off seeing if we improved at all. 17th for offense. I do think that went up a little bit. Defense, I actually think dropped a little bit late on. So all in all, we finished very average, maybe a little bit below average. Kyler Murray did throw quite a few picks, it looks like, in the last few games, as he finishes 27 and 7. Not awful, nothing splashy. He plays very much kind of as like a field general rather than a scrambler who's trying to make some big plays, though we have seen some big running plays from him. He had 67% completion, and he was sacked about twice per game. In the rushing yards, though, obviously Joe Mixon did not play the last few games. He would have had over 1,000 yards, but we pulled him on out. He finishes with 8 touchdowns, Harrison with 6, and during his starting time, he ran pretty well, averaged the same amount as Joe Mixon. So I think we did find ourselves a good running back there. I feel like Warren also did pretty well with his time out there. So the running back group I feel solid about. Receiving, Marvin Mims finishes with 859 and 7 touchdowns. Green, 763 and 3 touchdowns. And obviously, CeeDee Lamb wasn't playing much later on, so his numbers didn't grow, so McBride ended up taking him over. But I would imagine CeeDee Lamb probably would have been a little bit above Green, maybe around the 800 mark or so. Kind of disappointed with him. He didn't do as well as I was hoping he would. I don't feel like he was much of a difference maker, and that's what we needed on offense. Blocking-wise, Tyler Smith ended up giving up the most amount of sacks, 10. Bakhtiari with 9, 4 for Humphrey, so he cleaned it up again in the last quarter. All 4 of those were pretty much in that third quarter of the season. As for Morris, solid for the entirety really of the season, only 3 sacks, and Jenkins only 1. So all in all, I feel like the offensive line is still holding up well, and hopefully they give us one more good season. Defensively, Murray well over 100 tackles, 115. He had 4 tackles for a loss, only 1 sack, but 4 interceptions. Feel like that should be on his way for another Pro Bowl season. As for tackles for a loss, Gibson led the team with 13, Bonds with 11, and Okoronkwo with 10. Ogba only 7, but he didn't play the last 5 or so games, so those numbers could have been a little bit different. As for sacks, the official leader does go to Dylan Bonds, though again Okoronkwo not playing the last remainder of the season, so take those as you will, but a good season for Dylan Bonds. I mean, he was in the backfield quite a bit, so that is good to see. I'm also pretty impressed to see what I see here from JoJo Davidson. In limited time, he has 3 tackles for a loss and 3.5 sacks. I think he might take over that spot from Perkins next year. As for Joe Robinson, surprisingly, it was 5 tackles for a loss for him, despite him not having a whole lot of much in terms of block shedding rankings and him having really good power moves. He only has 1 sack. So an interesting start for the career of Joe Robinson, and we'll see if he ends up taking some snaps from Ogba, again, depending on how some regression hits, moving into our last and final season. And surprisingly, Awuzie gave Murray a run for his money, but we're going to give Murray the interception title because he had interceptions throughout the season. Meanwhile, Awuzie would kind of disappear here and there. Reed Jr., solid, I would say, throughout his time with us after bringing him in. And Parrish had the 1 interception. I think he could very much at least play the same, if not maybe be slightly better than Russ Yeast moving into that last and final season. So we'll see who gets the start there next time, as we finish off with maybe some slight improved play from Tanner Brown the last little bit, but all in all was a down season for him. But that will conclude season 4. I don't say massive nosedive, but a definite letdown. The last year, it was the second half that really propelled us into that playoff spot and winning the division even. But then we went back to how we started playing that first half of the season this year, and it took us way too long to get going. So there's some things we could do moving into that last and final season. I talked about maybe making a trade for Hurts, who would have to give them Kyler Murray and probably some picks to do it. Let me know if that's something you would want to see, or if we should stick with Kyler and just load up however we can, everywhere we can, and give it one last go and see if we make it back to the playoffs in the last and final season of the Central Plains States Only Challenge. So we'll see you next time, as long as you guys are hitting that bell icon on the bottom right or scrolling down and tapping that subscription button so you do not miss these. And to help you not miss these, just go ahead and hit that bell icon as well so you're notified of when these go live. This series every single Wednesday and Saturday, with the Rams' traditional franchise every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we definitely need to try to figure out a way to fix that series. That franchise on the line, so definitely don't miss that video tomorrow. Until then, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
How it's supposed to